Good morning. Here we are, and we are continuing the Millionaire training, the golden principles that created the top network marketers of today. We will be continuing on with Dan Stammen on page 303, but first we'll do our normal, our usual habits. So we'll start out with our gratitude. I'm so grateful for everything that's going on. There's a lot of stuff coming at me right now, but I'm so grateful for moving forward and making progress. I'm grateful for people on my team. I'm grateful for growing this business. I'm grateful for Suzanne and Christian. I'm grateful for Margie. I'm grateful for Beth. I'm grateful for Deborah. I'm grateful for Lucretia. I'm grateful for everybody on my team. I'm grateful for my sisters, and I'm grateful for my parents. That was weird. So I'm grateful for my boyfriend. I'm grateful that I woke up today. So let's move on to our goals for today. Today, my goal is to clean up the invite the training that I am doing on Wednesdays. I'm cleaning that up. That's one of them. I'm doing my daily DMO. I'm cleaning house. I'm cooking stuff. I'm getting ready for my sister and my aunt to come visit this weekend. And they'll come in on Saturday afternoon, and they'll be here until early Tuesday. So I'm going to take Monday off. I may try and do a recording beforehand, but we'll see. Anyway, so let's go ahead and do our morning meditation.
So take a deep breath of life. The Talmud says every blade of grass has an angel leaning over it, whispering, "Grow, grow, grow." That blade of grass will press through cement, seeking the light. And that same pull of becoming is on and in you. It is the spiral pull of becoming that is everywhere present in the universe, for the universe itself is ever seeking fuller, freer, expanded life. And you are part of this wondrous spiral of becoming. Your very DNA is a spiral, and you feel that pull to the more. Learning to work in concert and cooperation with the great laws of the universe. Open doors of possibilities that prior would have seemed completely impossible and only for the few, not you. But now, through your interest, your study, and your willingness, you're beginning to understand that not only is dream building your right, but your responsibility. For you have come here to give the gift of you, without which the fabric of creation is incomplete. For you did not create you. You can't even breathe you. You're being breathed by the great spirit of life itself, and something wonderful is happening with you right now. It is this thing called life. You've been given a mind and a body, emotions and spirit. You are spirit having a human experience, using the mind and body and emotions as your expressing field for what you ultimately will choose as the demonstration of the life you know. So in this sacred moment, activate the faculties you have, and know this: you are an image maker, made in the image and after the likeness of the one who gives you life. Your mind thinks in pictures.
Okay. So I hope you guys are all doing well. I know there's so many people struggling right now with so many different things going on. Right now I don't even want to talk on the phone, which is unusual. So anyway, let's go ahead and dive right in. We are on page 303 of Dan Stammen. I said McCormick before. I'm sorry. It was Dan Stammen's success story. So I remember a colleague in the business, Rudolf Molnar, who passed away a few years ago. Rudy was from Romania, and he was hard to understand because of his accent, but that never let him stop him. He was never the presenter or the guy at the front of the room during the meetings or running the training sessions, but he always made sure to surround himself with a few people who could do those things. So take that as a note that if you really want to be successful, surround yourself with successful people that can help you on your journey to do different things for you. He knew his weakness and he knew his strength. So he allowed himself to be surrounded by people with the strengths that he lacked or that he wasn't as good at. To his credit, though, what he excelled at was contacting and inviting people. He never met a stranger. He would go out on the street or to the mall or wherever and meet people. He would even test drive automobiles just to talk to people. He got good at getting numbers and getting people excited enough so that they would look at the products or the business. He was able to get people to the opportunity meetings, and then he let Jeff, me, or the presenter do their part and get them enrolled. Rudolph was a prime example of specializing because he understood that his domain was contacting and inviting people. Between his time at Herbalife and Juice Plus and investing funds he earned in real estate, I watched him make over $5 million. If you were going to master one aspect of network marketing, it would be to know 10 different ways to contact and invite and 10 different ways to get people to take a look at your presentation, whether it's by phone, text message, email, social media, direct messages, or to get someone to watch a 10-minute video or a half hour in-person meeting. If you can get 50 people a week to look at your company versus me only getting 10 a week, guess who's going to make more money? Larry is always saying that to master the mundane. In network marketing, you have to remember that the money you're earning today is a direct result of what you did 90 days ago. If your check is not that much today, you didn't do that much 3 months ago. Your pay is delayed gratification. Okay, so we all in today's world, we want instant gratification. In this profession, it is not. There's no such thing as instant gratification. It takes 90 days typically before you actually see a fruit of your work, right? So your pay is a delayed gratification. It's all about exposure. You might think what you're doing isn't working, but the next thing you know, you have someone who started 2 months ago and somewhat slowly, but all of a sudden they bring in 30 people and now you're reaping the benefits. If you had told me that I would be making up to $18,000 a month within my first 3 years at Herbalife before I turned 24, I would have told you, no way, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen to me. I didn't have the skills, the money, and I had very few contacts, but I did have a burning desire and a willingness to work. Again, that keeps coming up. So make sure you have a burning desire so that you are passionate about what you're doing and you have a willingness to work. I was teachable and picked up quickly on how to leverage myself. You have to remember that in a way, we are overpaid grunts. I'm somewhat joking when I refer to network marketers at doing grunt work, which means to me just repeating, for the most part, the same presentation and activities over and over again. When you think about it, if you don't have a college degree to do this type work yet, the rewards can be huge. I went to 2 years of junior college and never got a degree. Who do you know that can contact and invite people and then press play on a video or drive someone to a website link? We all can do that. All you have to do is show enough people, as it's a total numbers game. So the more people you show, the more people you're going to get in. It's all about just sharing the information over and over. When you get sick and tired of contacting, inviting, and explaining the play and program, you keep doing it over and over again. When you don't want to talk to another person or pick up a phone or send a text message or meet up at Starbucks, guess what you need to do? Just keep doing it over and over and over again. Think of it this way. If you talk to 10 people and only 2 people join and 8 don't, but those 2 people that joined you earn $300. If you divide $300 by 10, you still made $300 or $30 per person, whether each person bought anything or not. It's really how fast you can present to 100 people. It allows me not to take no, I get to heart, right? If I ask you to buy something and you turn me down, I just tell myself, thank you for the $30, and I move on to the next person. It doesn't matter if you didn't buy anything, because due to the averages, I get paid every time I share the story. And the mindset that Larry taught me to get excited about talking to strangers, I would pick up the phone and make 100 calls because it didn't matter whether they bought or not. Every no gets me that much closer to a yes. And I never took one no personally. You have to get tough skin for that. When you first start calling, you do take it personal, but it's not personal. It's not about you. It's not even about the product. It's about what's going on for them, right? So no means not now. And sometimes it means definitely no, but usually it means not now. They don't have enough information. They don't have the money, whatever it is. When I'm presenting at a training, I ask people, how many people here in this room are going to talk to 100 people about your product or opportunity within the next 12 months? Everybody will raise their hand. And then I ask, why wait? Why don't you contact 100 people in the next 12 days, especially since you're going to do it anyway? Collapse those time frames and do it faster. So you learn to master the mundane. Create your own mastermind group of 3 people, someone who can present, someone who can train, and someone who's good at making contacts. Then set a goal to reach 1,000 people to look at your product and hear about your opportunity. Doing that will put your team and you on the path to results. You don't have to worry about if it's going to work or not, if you put that plan into motion. So again, you want to have 3 people, one who can present, someone who can train, and someone who's good at making contacts, right? That's the 3 people. That's key. On a similar note, let's talk about procrastination. I hear more about that than anything else in the industry. People tell me all the time how they're going to start working their business at 9 in the morning or 7 at night. And the next thing you know, they're shuffling around papers, paying bills, reading through the emails, or wasting time on social media. Nothing was income producing. And before you know it, an hour has gone by and it's been wasted. Be honest with yourself. How many people did you actually talk to about your products and opportunity? Stop putting off the real work and making excuses. Remember, this important fact. This business is easier to build fast versus slow. By working hard and creating your personal momentum, it will lead team momentum, then group, area, and regional momentum, which is followed by large checks. Do your best to take massive action and try to replicate Larry's principles, or at least the top earners in your company, what they are doing to get results. I put notes all over my house with Larry sayings. Keep the main thing, to remind myself that I needed to be presenting, recruiting, and training. Everything else was taking me off track. So remind yourself to keep the main thing. I knew only those 3 things were going to make me money. Go crank out 30 calls in the first 2 hours of your day, and then load up your calendar for the afternoon or the next day. Do busy work at midnight when others are sleeping. When I was working at Prepaid Legal Services, I had 32 people on my team who were part of the 100 calls per day club. We were making 100 outbound calls every day, setting up appointments for the next day. You don't just make a phone call and then set the phone down, then dial the next number in a half-paced fashion. If it's you with your headsets or earbuds, or dialing numbers after number without setting the phone down in between calls, or better yet, use one of those automated dialing systems that will dial 100 times per day. And if you're prospecting another way, whether it's social media, texting, internet ads, make sure whatever you're doing, you go all in. Most people can't keep up with that kind of intensity. My Herbalife business partner, Jeff, and I had an apartment together. I'd be in one room and he'd be in the other. We'd both be smiling and dialing all day long and all night, setting up appointments and sending out packages to long distance enrollees. Back in the day, that meant putting together VSH tapes, product samples, and a bunch of brochures. We would send out a package to Seattle or wherever for $20 and then never knew if they would get it, watch the video, or did anything with the products. Now it's so much easier. You can pick up the phone or email a link. I used to spend $20,000 a year to host one conference call a week with my team. Now anyone can use Zoom for free and host as many conference calls as they want. Things are so much easier. When I think back on Larry's career, I'm so thankful he didn't quit, even though there were several times he probably wanted to. If he had, my life would not be what it is today, because Larry never gave up and kept learning. He's been able to affect so many people. Thanks to Larry's teachings, we've been able to put 4 million people in our business over the last 14 plus years and create over $4.5 billion in revenue. If Larry had quit, I probably would be managing a Publix grocery store down the street. Instead, I found this business where I'm able to get paid every time hundreds of thousands of people buy or sell something. That's unfathomably awesome. So, it's just an incredible story, and it's so true. If we just stick to the principles that he talks about here, I want you to re-listen to this one because it's such a great story, and he talks on so many of the points. So keep the main thing. You know, for things to get better, you've got to get better, and just stay on track. Keep talking to. It's all a numbers game, you know. So reach out to those people every day. Do it first. Do it however it feels good to you, but make sure you're out there inviting every day. Okay, we're going to move on to Dan Waldron, the Chairman's Club Herbalife International. My story starts when I was living in Houston and working a dead-end job, making $7.50 an hour repairing furniture. I stumbled into Herbalife by accident, but in reality, it wasn't an accident, but more of a twist of fate. If I had walked into the library a couple of minutes later, I might not be where I am today. One evening, I was visiting the library, researching possible new careers, and I look over and I see a woman selling something to another woman. They exchanged money and the customer went on her way. I've always been big on studying people and noticing things. So when I went up to the woman selling and asked what she was doing, she told me she worked for Herbalife and invited me to an opportunity meeting. I go to the meeting and find out it costs $29.95 to join at the lowest level. I didn't have $29.95, so I had to wait 2 weeks to get some money together. At the time, I was making so little money, even working full time. I was desperate to earn some extra, even if it was only $100 a month. So I want to touch on this. So that's what we're talking about when we talk about the gig economy. People don't want to make fortunes. They do want to make fortunes, but what they really want is just to be able to make ends meet, to be able to have that extra income so they don't have to struggle, so they can do the things that they want. So like he said, he only needed an extra $100 a month. Of course, this was a long time ago. So today it's probably closer to that $300 to $500 a month. So I saved up my money and I show up at the woman's house who had invited me to a meeting and knocked on the door, ready to get my kit. I hand her my money and she tells me it's $32.45, not $29.95 because of taxes. Honest truth, I went out to my car, got my ashtray and dumped all the change and counted out nickels, dimes, and pennies on that woman's kitchen table. She was just as broke as I was, so she needed the $30.45 right away. My kit arrives and I got started on December 17th, 1982. At first, I didn't do much with the package, but eventually I called my mom, who lives in upstate New York, and convinced my dad to let her try it. My mom ends up losing weight and my dad loses weight. And now they're telling everyone in my big Italian family about how great this Herbalife stuff is. I'm sending them tons of products and making some great part-time money while I'm continuing to work at the furniture business repair. When my kit first arrives, I was still living in Houston, but about to move to Austin to go to school. And that's the real reason why I needed the extra money so that I could attend community college. I had a buddy who lived in Austin who coached athletes, and I wanted to do the same thing, but I needed a degree for that. Herbalife felt like the perfect opportunity to make those dreams happen. I remember the kit came with a little button that said, "Lose weight now, ask me how." I called up Sandy, the woman who signed me up later, and I asked her, "What do I do with this?" She told me, "Put it on, walk around somewhere, and someone will ask you about it." I was so naive and clueless. I put on the button, went to the grocery store, and started walking up and down the aisles just looking at people. I was asking them anything. I called Sandy back and told her, "Nobody asked me about my button." She said, Did you say hi or talk to anyone at all? No. It just goes to show you, I had no business mind at all during this time. Eventually, someone did ask me about the button. A girl in one of my college classes looked at my button and said, "How did you lose weight?" I had no idea what to tell her. I just started talking and showed her the little catalog, which at the time was only 4 pages. She looked through it and starts telling me all the things she'd like to order. I'm flipping out, and then I'm thinking, I don't have any product to give her. She circles everything she wants and hands me a check for $109. I called Sandy again, and she tells me, go cash the check and then send me the products from, and then she sends me the products from a Greyhound bus in Houston. I picked up the order from the bus station in downtown Austin and bring it over to the girl. She ends up loving the products and tells her girlfriends all about it. I was running these little bags of orders all over campus. One day, my anatomy and physiology professor asked me what I was doing. At this point, I had a plan. I was starting to learn some stuff. So I tell her, oh, I'm helping people lose weight with these products. She ends up ordering $400 worth of items. And I'm so excited. My parents continue to use the products, and friends and family are ordering so much. I eventually tell them they need to sign up themselves and become distributors because I'm in school. I can't keep shipping products there all the time to New York. Things were getting out of control. So I told them they needed to order from Herbalife directly. Now things are rocking and rolling along. My royalties go from $2,000 a month to $5,000. And at the time, my expenses were minimal. I was rooming with a friend, and $500 a month was all I needed to pay my bills. Larry and Mark would often tell us to bank our money and live off the retail and wholesale business. So I did just that. When I got those royalty checks, I put them in the bank. I would pay my taxes, but I wouldn't spend any of the money I earned. I never went out and bought a new car or new stuff. I continued to live modestly. After graduating from college in 1986, I decided I didn't want to be a coach at the time and decided I wanted to keep going with Herbalife instead. Unfortunately, that's around the time that Herbalife went through its controversy. I loved Herbalife and I wanted to stay with it, even though times were challenging. That's when the Millionaire training saved me. It helped give me the basics and the skills I needed. When I was in college, I was only able to attend a training here and there. I take a few notes, but I wasn't a student of network marketing because money was coming in so easily for me at first. I had a good team going with my family up in New York, and I was really coasting. And then 1986 begins and it all starts going away. Now I was hearing the Millionaire training differently. It's no longer that everybody wants the products and shows up to your meetings. Now it's actual work. It was then that I began to understand the concept of employing yourself and how you can have diseases of attitude and procrastination. It's knowing you have to call and talk to 10 people every day, not 8, 10. If you have only spoken to 8 people in a day, you have to get out there and that night and talk to more people. You aren't going to sleep anyway because you can't sleep because you feel terrible that you didn't do your job. It was those messages from the tapes that helped me when adversity came. Finally, around 1991, things began to turn around for Herbalife after launching a couple of new products. To think that I hadn't done what Mark and Larry had said and put money in the bank, I wouldn't have been able to stick it out with Herbalife and probably would have left, as so many did in 1986. People then were so mad and dropped out because they couldn't make a living. But what they failed to mention was Larry telling them to save their money. They went out and bought a new house or car, or when Herbalife wasn't paying as much, they had to find something else. So through those lean years, I was able to make it through by taking out $100 or so if I was short 1 month on my expenses. At this time, I was still living on retail and wholesale, but I had that money in the bank to get me through when everybody else had to get a job. Thankfully, I lived modestly and I didn't have any debt. I was driving the same car I started with, which at that point had 150,000 miles on it. My royalties checks went down from $5,000 a month to $300 a month. Because I lived within my means, I was able to keep going. And when things finally turned around in 1991, I qualified for the global expansion team. Then in 1995, I made the president's team. All of this happened within 3.5 years. During this time, I was often reminded of Larry's analogy about our mind being a projector. He would often talk about that if the film in our projector is negative, failure is going to show up. So what are you thinking about? On the days when I was down and out, I would remind myself of this fact. I knew this story so well from listening to the tapes over and over that I could recite it in my mind. I would tell myself I had a negative film projector going and I needed to change the film. I would snap myself out of it, and then I would go out into the marketplace or wherever with a smile on my face. I'd ask people how they were doing and hand out catalogs in front of the HEB grocery store in Austin. Some days it would be pouring rain and I would still be out there talking to people, even if I got no response. I just knew I had to speak to 10 people each day, and I kept going. I kept doing it. There's no question that Larry's concept of talking with 10 people a day was vital. I was not going to let my team or myself have a negative film projector or a disease of attitude. Things are going to grow no matter what. So you have to eliminate what's bad. To take care of a rose bush, you have to water it. You don't allow the weeds of negativity to grow. Those concepts have never left me, even 37 years later. I relied so much on Larry's teachings during this time of transition at Herbalife. Larry would often come to Dallas to lead trainings. If I knew he was coming to town, I would drive my old beat up car 3.5 hours to listen to a 2-hour training. I take my notes, drive back to Austin, and hold my own meeting where maybe three people would show up, but I would just go after it and teach those 3 people. In August of 1991, I was still making only $300 a month, and I kept thinking, when is it going to happen for me? I don't know how much longer I can go on like this. That was my time of questioning, but I never applied for another job, or went on any interviews. I never missed a meeting. I presented every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. I even did a session on Christmas Eve because it fell on a Saturday. Everyone in my team was telling me we can't do a meeting then because it's Christmas Eve. And I simply said to them, no, it's not Christmas Eve, it's Saturday. And we do meetings every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. It was a huge turning point for me because I ended up recruiting a supervisor from that meeting. He ended up qualifying with a volume of 7,500 in December. And we go to attend an annual party at Mark Hughes's house. It ended up being my biggest month of the year, where I had a personal volume of almost $15,000. Finally, 1 year later, I made the Millionaire team, and a few years after that, the President's team. Larry ended up leaving Herbalife in December of 1992, and I'll never forget his last training in Dallas. It was probably one of the greatest meetings I've ever done in his life. He's ever done in his life. I still remember where it was. I have a picture from that day. Walking across the stage, January of 1993 was challenging for my team and me. Larry was our trainer, and it was challenging to lose him, but we kept moving forward just the way he would have wanted us to. Every time someone enrolled on my team, I would give them the Millionaire training, even though they weren't included in the distributors' kits anymore. Larry's legacy continues to live on, even in my own family. My son is an Herbalife distributor as well and is currently working on his 3rd diamond as a massive organization underneath him. I taught him all of Larry's concepts because they're timeless and they will never go away. Initially, my son didn't know what he wanted to do with his life. He tried different jobs, working as a waiter, folding shirts in a retail, taking some college courses, and that kind of thing. I didn't want to push him into Herbalife. Finally, he came to me and told me he wanted to do Herbalife and opened up his own nutrition club in February of 2008, using the principles from Larry that I taught him. Within 3.5 years, he had made the President's team. I have compassion for those getting started in network marketing today. It's easy to get bombarded with social media and technology. It can be a tremendous blessing, but it can be a curse as well. It can be hard to stay focused when you're continually sending tweets or scrolling through pictures on your cell phone. When I began in this industry, there wasn't as much confusion. We had to visit with 10 people and tell them about the products. We knew what we needed to do an opportunity meeting every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and run ads in the newspaper. It was a job where we knew we had to fulfill what's in the box to get it done. It wasn't hard to do those things, but it was mentally taxing because you had to see people you didn't know and talk to people on the phone. It was a simpler life we led, and there wasn't as much confusion. Today, it's more challenging because there are so many things competing for your attention. There are so many things bombarding the minds of the youth, and I think they're stressed. I don't think they need to be on social media for 3 or 4 hours a day when they could go out and communicate with people in person. I would encourage young people that if they find something they are passionate about, don't quit, just stay with it. If I had given up during the 7 years of famine at Herbalife, where would I be today? You have to remain persistent and consistent, be relentless, and stay for the long haul. I think so many people today want fast results, but you have to be willing to endure the time because time brings wisdom. You're not going to get everything your first year, second year, or third year. However, if you work with the same company for 30 years, at the end of it, you'll have a chunk of change for your retirement if you can work hard like what you're doing, what you're doing, and believe in the product that you have. I'm thankful for the principles and concepts Larry gave me because it would have been impossible for me to endure 1991 if it wasn't for him. My dad was a laborer and he didn't have any wisdom about owning a business, and I didn't have any mentors. The Millionaire training gave me strength I needed, somebody reliable with the belief to encourage me along, and Larry gave me that. Larry believed that all of us could do it and was relentless in his drive to go, go, go. I needed that because I have a strong personality. I can't have somebody up there on stage telling me just hang in there, just to hang in there. I appreciate Larry's strength and power. I'm sure there were times during the 1980s when he went home and wondered what the crap he was going on, but I never once saw him waver in his form or attitude. If he had, I would have smelt it. We would have smelt it and felt it. During Herbalife's fights with the FTC in 2016 and all the things that we had gone through, I knew I needed to be a pillar of strength for my team. I was always checking in on my people, asking how everybody was doing, because that's what Larry did. He always said, listen, you aren't going to find out who you are in times of greatness when everything is good. I knew during those hard times of adversity and problems, I was showing my team either strength or insecurity, and I chose strength. I have such gratitude to Larry and the fortitude he showed us during his 13 years at Herbalife. It changed all of our lives, and it still does. His principles have never left us. So it's an incredible, it's so true. You know, you really, when we first start out at something, it takes time to understand the company, to understand the products, to understand the process, all of these things, and everything is always changing, right? But if you can wrap your head around the concepts, you know, you don't need to know everything in the beginning. You don't need to know everything ever, really. You just need to know where to point people to. You need to know who to ask to get answers, and just share it, and just get on a 3-way call, do something so that you're showing people that you don't have all the answers, but you will get them what they're asking for in a way that makes it feel good for everybody involved, right? So on that note, I will see you tomorrow. Have a fabulous day, and make sure you move those 10 pennies.